Hi guys, welcome back to the final part 2 of 2, looking at my bookshelf. This one should go, even though there's like 3 levels, it should be pretty quick to go through. Yeah, without wasting any time, let's take a look at these 3 big bastards over here. They're only here because they frankly are so big, they don't fit into the bookshelves at all. These are also books that I've reviewed on my channel. They are from Francois Baranger, a French artist, and he adapts Lovecraft's tales in the most beautiful art you can ever see. He's really, really talented. Can't even imagine how he went through this. This is a bit curious because this is At the Mountains of Madness, Volume 1, out of 2 volumes. This is in English. And then you have At the Mountains of Madness, Volume 2, in Russian. I bought this in Moscow. It's verbatim, like literally copy-paste the text from Lovecraft's story, and I've read it so many times. So anyway, you buy it for the pictures, you buy it for the art, not really the text. Well, you do read the text, of course, but it's not the end of the world. I do understand, I can read what it says there. I don't know what I'm reading. So I can read Cyrillic. That's all I wanted to say. And then I have the Call of Cthulhu. Perdón, La Llamada de Cthulhu. Yeah, and it's in Spanish, and I got that in Madrid. Yeah, I do a lot of traveling, and I buy books whenever I travel. Alright, let's get on. We have here, I really like vampires. This is simple as. This is looking at vampires, like the history of them, like the hypothetical history of vampires. Montague Summers, he was a bit of a odd character if you ever want to look him up. And we have, this one looks like a Castlevania game cover, doesn't it? It's bloody awesome. Vampiric Tales of Blood and Roses from Japan. So it's Japanese vampire stories, basically. Dracula's Brood. This is a compilation of vampire stories. Dracula's Guest. This is by Bram Stoker, and this was actually the prelude to Dracula. It was sort of like the chapter 0, as it were. And for some reason or other, pacing probably, they omitted it from most printings. So here you have Dracula, but you won't have Dracula's Guest in it. That type of thing. And then it also has other weird stories. Ray Russell, just gothic horror stories. Pretty cool. Huysmans. I never got around to reading this, but I was recommended it, so I bought it. I need to read it though. Metro 2033, Metro 2034. Big fan of the games. They're Russian stories. It's coming from Russia. And then it's sort of set in this world where there was nuclear war, and then everyone lives in the metro. And I've been into the Moscow metros, and they're absolutely beautiful. It's no wonder that stories were focused around them. There's a 2035, but I don't own it yet. Moving on, we have quite an extensive, but quite a lacking collection of Junji Ito literature. Although I have quite a few books here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Junji Ito books, I would estimate, having just perused the bookshop a few days ago, that I'm missing about five other books. This guy is he's just pumping out his literature, and it's just amazing. He's a manga artist, so everything is manga. The guy needs no introduction at this point. I mean, I'm just so happy for him. He must be loaded, the amount of profit he's making. I mean, Jesus, how much is that? That's probably like, I don't know, $200 right there. So yeah. By the way, if you want to know what I'm doing with my YouTube revenue, yeah, yeah, things are nice ever since I get like a couple $100 every now and then from YouTube. Yeah, so I'm just a massive fan of Junji Ito, and I need to buy some more books, but as you can see, maybe I need to buy a new bookcase first. Yeah, moving on. We have here Otsuichi. This is sort of like my Japanese section here. Pretty much everything here you see is Japanese fiction, so I really am a big fan of Japan. I like how they see the world. You know, it's a very curious way to me how Japanese people see the world and view things, and in general, how they are, their mentality. I just think it's interesting. Yeah, big fan of the culture and the food and the movies and the entertainment. So we have here some horror. Otsuichi. This is some short stories of Japanese horror. These two, it's actually a 3-book series, but I need to get the third one. Kaiki. It's a collection of weird tales. And the thing about Japanese weird tales is that they're not always horror focused. They can also just be weird, but not having really a sense of horror or dread about them. So yeah, just weird tales from Japan. It's pretty cool. Speculative Japan. This is also weird fantasy fiction tales from that area. Then we have this guy. I also have 4 books by him. Edogawa Ranpo. Now, if you say the name fast, you might guess which name this is referencing. Edgar Allan Poe. Edogawa Ranpo. Yeah. I don't know what the author's real name is, but he's a bloody legend in Japan for his literature. So he does 2 types of literature, basically. He does like detective novels, you know, whodunits type of things. I guess kind of like The Shadow, you know, if you remember that kind of radio play, pulp fiction type stuff. Yeah, nothing supernatural here really. It's just more focused on real life type of thing. Then you see his tales, which are very much focused on sort of weird tales, but with a more tinge of horror. And yeah, just great stuff. And this is a weird fucking book. If I remember this correctly, I read it a while ago. Moju, the Blind Beast. So what happens is you have this. It falls under a genre. This is interesting in itself, called erogure. I believe it's called erogure, which is like erotic gore. I think is what it's supposed to be referencing. Erotic gore. Now there's a genre, right? So for example, if I remember correctly, you have the blind guy. He's a masseuse, and he is addicted to the touch of the female body. So he creates this room or something like that, and he has like giant tits on the wall that he can touch, and they're like hyper realistic, artificial but hyper realistic, and then he becomes obsessed with it. It's weird, it's Japanese, and it's fucking awesome. Anyway, moving on. We have Battle Royale. Just a big fan of that book. I read it like 4 times. Really like the action in there. Yeah. Then you have 3 books from Ryo Murakami. Big fan of him. Audition Piercing in the Miso Soup. They're all about sort of broken people who are very broken and act out accordingly in strange ways, I guess you could say. I just love the art style in these books as well. Yeah, really cool. Big fan of him. I'd buy anything that he sells. Then we have finally a bunch of other books. I don't even know why I still have them. Hitomi Kanehara, Twice the Ami Sakurai. They are also about people that are just sort of broken, just sort of the dregs of society in a way, you know, even if they aren't like literally in that position, like you mustn't think like dregs, like homeless people or something. I mean, I wouldn't think that of them, you know. Homeless people can be very decent, but more like they're just like the utter outcasts, you know. Yeah, so for example, you get this one, Convenience Store Woman. It's about this woman who's basically a sociopath or a psycho, and then she just dedicates herself to being the best convenience store woman she can be, because that enables her to fit in. Yeah. stuff like that. So that's what I mean by dregs of society. Nothing against people who are homeless. Yeah. Then we have some horror. Also 3 books from the same guy, Koji Suzuki. Big fan. Dark Water was adapted into a dodgy American horror film with Jennifer Connelly in it, I believe. It's this horror story so focused around water in some way or other. Then you have The Ring, yeah, as in that Ring, the horror film, and then Spiral. And then there is actually a 3rd book, but I don't own it because it sucks apparently. It just goes completely off. You know how you have Godfather and Godfather 2 and everyone just loves these films? And then you have like Godfather 3 and it's just kind of like, yeah, it's like that. And then Kenko and Chomai, just these were like Buddhist monks and just their thoughts about the world. Moving on. Alright guys, we're almost done. I'll get through this part here very fast because basically I've done a video all about these. These are my Spanish language Lovecraft books, either adaptations via direct translations or comic books, things like that. A lot of graphic novels there in Spain. I go to Madrid a lot, and I go to the Canary Islands a lot. Actually, I'm flying. Yeah, this time next week I will be swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, drunk on rum and coke, and a big smile on my face. I'm going back to the Canary Islands and also in Madrid for a short 10-day break. Yeah, so this is just my Spanish language books. I buy them because a lot of the time they have beautiful illustrations, but also to practice my Spanish. Yeah. Moving on, we have Clive Barker, Books of Blood, as volumes 1, 2, 3. There is also 4, 5, 6, one that I need to get eventually. I really enjoy his stories as well. He definitely deserves the praise he gets. Maybe a little bit too much praise, but he's definitely better than fucking Stephen King, I'll say that much. He's decent. Yeah. World War Z. I should actually remove that. I don't intend to read that again, but as far as zombie stories go, that's pretty good. 2 tour books about the Canary Islands. Yeah. All I can say is that I intend to live there one day, and it's not just some wishy-washy, far-off dream. I'm actually making an attempt to emigrate there. Solomon Kane. This is actually not by Robert E. Howard, but Ramsey Campbell. It's sort of like an adaptation of the movie. On Stranger Tides, then you also have Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson, and also here, Black Flag, the Assassin's Creed game, adapted, the pirate game, right? I'm a big fan of just pirates in general. Yeah, I just like pirates, simple as that. I know in real life piracy was not fun, and nobody wants that kind of life, but the idea of being on a tropical island, drinking rum, and having fun on a boat, yeah, man, that appeals to my soul. What can I say? Horus Rising is my attempt to get into Warhammer 40k. It didn't go very far. Then we have The Witcher. I bought The Last Wish, just to see what it was like, and I polished that book off in like 2 days. And then I bought the second book, and I never started it yet. Just because I bought it in a sale, and I bought like 10 other books, and I just never got around. Then we have 3 video game books: Dishonored, Skyrim, Legend of Zelda. You know, just basically fan merchandise. Yeah, I like those games. Not much of a gamer these days, actually. But when I do, I like the Hitman games. I usually play those, or the Yakuza games. Excellent stuff. But like I said, I don't really game that much these days, sadly. And then finally, at the bottom here, we have the last of my collection. Okay, let's start here. What we have to start off with is a German adaptation of some of Lovecraft's stories in comic form. Here we have 2 books in Russian. Yeah, I don't speak Russian, but I can read Cyrillic, but I have no idea what I'm reading. This was a gift from a subscriber and fellow YouTuber Alex from Moscow. He has a channel called Club Ultar, and he does what I do, but all in Russian language. So if you speak Russian, go check out Club Ultar. Just type it in with Cyrillic and you'll find his channel. And yeah, he gave this as a gift to me when we met up in a bar that was actually called Lovecraft Bar in Moscow. Great adventure that was. Thanks, man. I hope you're doing well. Next one is also a Russian book. This was a gift to me by someone very dear to me. I don't like to bring my personal life too much into the channel, let alone the people in my personal life, but enough to say I'll always have this book with me. And then the same goes actually for these 3 books here, which are just Lovecraft stories, also from the same person. Yeah. And this was a gift, a very good gift to me by a subscriber. You know who you are, man, and thank you very much for this. Yeah, if someone just said, hey, I like your channel, thanks for what you're doing, and yeah, they gifted this to me. It's the Letters of Lovecraft, between Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard, and because they wrote so much, there are actually 2 books just about that. Yeah, thanks so much for that. That was such an amazing gift, especially since it's coming from Hippocampus Press, and they're not exactly the most shy when it comes to pricing. So thanks very much. This is a book very dear to me, but it's falling apart. Look at this book. I do take care of my books, guys. Look, they're very nice and shiny, but I mean, this poor bastard. Look at this. Damaged. Yes. Repair. I got this book in Spain, and then I took this with me everywhere. Every time I travel, I take this with me. It's just some of the select stories of Lovecraft. In itself, it's not really the most special of books, but it's always been with me. I took it to Boston. I took it to Providence when I went there. Yeah, just sentimental. Then we have, oops, hard to do this with one hand, guys. Then we basically have the one I'm putting next to it. This one is the exact same contents as this one. It's just like a newer edition. Then we have Tom Clancy. I just like political intrigue, like Tom Clancy. I also have The Hunt for Red October somewhere. I read the book like 3 times. As you know from previously in the video, I love submarines, so yeah. Who goes there? That is the book, the short story rather. It's actually a compilation, which inspired The Thing. The Thing film. So The Thing, 1982. The Thing, prequel from 2011, and then The Thing from Another World. I want to say 1952. I don't know. Might be wrong, but yeah. This is the short story which inspired it. And then you have Lemmy. I am a big metalhead fan. I'm a metalhead, and Motörhead. I know he always said it was rock and roll, but yeah, I really like this guy. How he was in life, he's so modest, despite the fame he had, the wealth, he was just a modest, down-to-earth guy who just loved his music, and yeah, that's what he did, Yeah, so just his autobiography. Moving on here, we have Prey. This is the book that actually got me into Lovecraft. This is why you're watching this video, basically, this exact book. Got it when I was like 16. It's a loose adaptation of The Dreams of the Witch House. Yeah. Brian Lumley. Oh, so many books here. Brian Lumley, The Taint. This is some of his short stories in the sort of Lovecraft vein. Robert E. Howard, Conan. Yeah, this is Conan. Then we got these 3 books. They're sort of scattered. But Guillermo del Toro's The Fall, The Strain, The Night Eternal. And you can see by the amount of damage they have and dirt. Yeah, I do take care of my books, guys. Come on. yeah, it's a vampire story, unlike any that you've ever seen. Really, I think I've read these books 3 times, and you know, I like short stories, as you can see, right? I'm not really one for one big narrative, but these 3 books, I read them like 3 times, and yeah, I maybe as a booktuber, which I guess I technically am right now, that's not impressive, but hey, I'm an honest guy, so yeah, I just really love that series. It's a film, not film series, a TV series as well, but it's deeply flawed because they have this one character who's just so reprehensible. It just breaks the show for me. The fucking child there, Zach. Jesus Christ! If ever there was an advert for a walking advert for Trojan and Durex, well, that's him. And finally, here on the last part, we have my compilation, The Complete Fiction of Lovecraft. But because it's not complete, I have like this one, which also has his co-written works, his ghost-written works, that sort of stuff. It's basically the same as that orange one right there in the middle of the screen. This one I bought in Paris. Yeah. I was in Paris, and I found myself in an English bookshop, and I was like thinking, okay, I need to buy something. So this is what I bought. Complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. Okay. The horror stories of Robert E. Howard. As you probably noticed, I don't have many of Robert E. Howard's books, and that's not because I dislike the guy. I respect him greatly as a pulp writer, and probably as a human being in general, I would have gotten along with him. It's just that, I like to buy a lot of his books, and I know if I go on a shopping binge for his books, it's going to be like $200, and that's a big investment just for books, especially since you can read them online for free. But horror is where my interests lie. This book is actually, this one, I haven't seen it in a while. I bought this book in the Philippines, and now that I think about it, that book there, next to the blue one on the right, that one I also bought in the Philippines, in Manila, in a bookshop there. This is the Fantastic Tales of America, and as you can see from the back, it's a who's who of weird fiction, including our boy there, Lovecraft. Yeah. Oh man, I buy a lot of books from around the world, don't I? Dean Koontz, Phantoms. Just a great story, great book. The Whale Road is about Vikings, Edge of Tomorrow. It's that Tom Cruise film where he goes back in time repeatedly. Koreatown is a Korean cookbook. That's an odd one, huh? A cookbook out of all these things, but that has relevance to my life. I intend to, I'm going to do my best to open up a Korean barbecue restaurant eventually. I'm thinking in 5 years, when I have enough capital, I'd like to move to Spain, maybe the Canary Islands, and open up a Korean barbecue place. I know it's a weird thing, but you'll just have to trust me when I say that I have the ability, proven ability, to actually cook this cuisine. Master and Commander, it's a book series which is like 20 books long, but I only have the first one. It's a great film as well, and great book. Calvin and Hobbes, a gift from my mom. I keep it for sentimental value, but I never read it anymore. And finally, 2 wrestling books. One is from Kane. It's his autobiography. Now he is the mayor of Knox County in Tennessee, I believe, if my American geography is correct. And then, this is about his rise as a wrestler and into politics. Yeah, he's a sort of libertarian guy, Yeah, that's all. And then making the game. Triple H's approach to a better body. Steroids not included, man. Okay, the guy juiced. That is blatantly obvious, but his advice for lifters in here is still good. It's just you'll not look like that, without some help, as it were. Anyway, guys, that's it. that is my complete collection. It's not bad, I think. I've curated it since many years. Some books I've just removed. I don't know what to do with them, so they're sitting in my basement. Many of these I've read more than once. A few of these, a few of them I have bought and just never completed. But I'm not really too much in the habit of just buying books and then not completing them. So only a small minority are like that. Yeah, this is my collection, man. This is what makes me happy. I don't really go out much to clubs or fancy restaurants or spend it on clothing or anything like that. My money goes to this type of stuff. Yeah. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And sorry it took so long to make, but my previous camera, actually I think I have it here, so I can prove to you that I'm not bullshitting, is actually very much busted. Yeah. The lens is completely broken and I couldn't film anything, and then yeah, I got a new phone, and yeah, that's what I'm using to film, because I don't have a camera otherwise. So this is why it took so long. Yeah, sorry about that delay. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any queries about any of these books, let me know. I'm happy to explain it a little bit further in the comments or in a DM. I'll leave links where you can message me. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. And I hope you guys are ready for 2023. Whatever's coming in your life, I hope it goes better than it did in 2022. Alright guys. Cheers.